I gotta pick my peaches. Hello, my shiny, happy friends. Welcome to another edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. Last week's Roundup was recorded very early and released very late because I went on a trip. It was a wonderful trip, and I feel very refreshed and much better. Thank you for asking. But I'm actually going on another trip this weekend. This one is going to be a family trip, so it's fun. Same thing, recording it kind of early, so there's probably a lot of news stories that by the time you watch this, that have happened that I haven't addressed, but you know, again, I will cover them next week. But for right now, I've got a boatload of stories to cover, so let's dive right on into it. The first item on the list, Pikmin! Pardon me, sorry, what I mean to say is Nintendo officially revealed Pikmin 3 Deluxe is heading to the Switch. This has been a long rumored port of the Wii U title for the longest time. It has been, you know, people have said it's coming and then it doesn't come, and then they say it's coming and then it doesn't come. I don't even know if they were real rumors or if it was just kind of expected, but it is finally coming, and perhaps most excitingly of all, it is coming with a significant amount of new content. We've got a new prologue and epilogue starring Olimar and Louie. We've got difficulty options. They are bringing back the Piklopedia. They are introducing achievements, just a whole bunch of stuff. And of course, the ability to play through the entire campaign co-op, which has been a feature that has been very curiously missing from the last two games. Very strange, the sort of thing we kept expecting, and then they just kind of didn't. You could only do co-op like in the challenge modes. So they're bringing that in. It really looks like they're going the whole 9 yards with this one, which is very exciting. Obviously, it gives previous owners of the game a chance to double dip, a reason to double dip, and then it's just an all the more enticing opportunity for new people to get into the series. I will, every time I bring up this game in any video, this is a PSA. Yes, you can start with Pikmin 3. You don't have to play 1 and 2. It'd be nice if you could, but Nintendo isn't allowing people. There's a dog barking outside. You can start with Pikmin 3. You don't need to play 1 and 2 first. It would be nice, but Nintendo clearly doesn't want us to or something. I don't really understand their strategy there. But yes, if you're a newcomer, you could start at 3. Plenty good place to, it's actually the most accessible Pikmin game, so there you go. So that is naturally very exciting to me. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a bit of a Pikmin fan myself, so I'm very much looking forward to that. It is coming out October the 30th, which is 3 months, just 3 little months to wait. In considerably less delightful news, however, Nintendo has removed the digital version of Pikmin 3 from the Wii U eShop, and this is it's very disappointing. This is something that they also did with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. They haven't removed all games from the Wii U eShop that got ports on the Switch, but they have been removing the ones that were in the Nintendo, like the Selects line, that were $20, because they don't want people going and buying a $20 version of the game. This is a very anti-consumer practice, and it is very upsetting, and it is something that I will probably be covering in a future video. Because yeah, it's just not cool. Like, you offer the product, keep offering the product, you only choose now to take it away, because it's the whole thing, yeah. Back to the good news though, it seems like just yesterday that Animal Crossing had just come out and Nintendo did their big quarterly financial earnings report, and we got all this new stuff. It's the next quarter already, so we got a new report with a wealth of new information. Apparently, the Switch has reached a total of 61.44 million units sold, which puts it pretty much neck and neck with the NES, and obviously very, very soon it will surpass the NES. It probably already has since this report was published. And that's very exciting. That will make it the #2 best-selling Nintendo home console of all time, behind only the Wii, which is sitting at 101.63 million units. There was once a time when I was a little more skeptical of the idea of the Switch hitting that number and becoming the #1, but I don't know, this year has been so good that at this point, I don't know, I really think it could go either way. It depends on if Nintendo keeps pushing the software, releasing the big titles and stuff, but we have already seen most of the really big hitters, so it's possible that over the next few years we will see the hardware numbers start to decline. Not really sure, but that is still very impressive in a very short amount of time, just 3.5 years up at 61 million units already, and still climbing, still going. And because Nintendo is probably very keen to keep this momentum going, I'm happy to report that according to Nintendo, the manufacturing process for Switch consoles has just about returned to normal. I think we are still at a point where demand is outstripping the supply, where it's back to normal, but it might not still be enough. I've actually had a number of friends over the last couple weeks contacting me, asking me where they could get a Switch. If they look hard enough, they can eventually get one online, but just where I am at least, we are still seeing shortages in all of the major retailers. It's still hard to find them online. So that is very good to see that things have just about gotten back to normal. And it's also good to see that sales are still going really, really strong. We are going to continue to see sales through the rest of this year, and we haven't even hit the holiday season yet. That's going to be another great big bump. Like, could it get up to 65? Could it start creeping up closer to 70 million by the end of the year or something? Who knows? It's possible. Now, a number of times I have brought up the idea, the concept that consoles these days are a lot more profitable than consoles before, because just overall you have more people are playing games, there's more exposure for games because of the internet and all the social everything, and then of course digital sales and all that stuff. So it is very fun to see. Shane Gill from Did You Know Gaming made a little comparison of the Switch's top-selling games versus the PS2's top-selling games, because the PS2 is the highest-selling home console of all time at 155 million units, and yet the highest-selling games are like almost nothing compared to the Switches. In the PS2's entire life, you had Grand Theft Auto San Andreas sold 17 million, but then it just drops off really quickly from there. The next game is 14, 11, 9, 8, 8, 7, 6, 6, 5, whereas the Switch starts 26, 22, 19, 18, 18, 18, 12, 10, 10, 7. And the Switch is only, approximately halfway through its life. So we are seeing much, I mean, I've talked about this endlessly, much higher attach rates for a lot of these games, just higher sales overall, higher exposure to games, and that is leading to a very, just incredibly healthy platform. And that is very exciting, and it is leading to naturally a tremendous amount of revenue. According to the new financial report, we see that Nintendo's net profits are up by 541.3% versus the same period, the quarter one last year. Obviously, a lot of this is thanks to Animal Crossing being in quarter one versus last year. I don't believe we had like a really super big game in quarter one. Most of the stuff was like later in the year. But naturally, it's still very impressive. The same period last year, they made about $157 million, and this time they made a cool billion. So congrats, Nintendo. And speaking of profits, thanks to Animal Crossing, that game has crossed the $22 million mark, making it one of the fastest selling Nintendo games ever. It is on pace to beat Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It is going to. Mario Kart 8 is only a few million above it by now, and it's been available since almost the beginning of the Switch's life. Animal Crossing is clearly going to pass it. I don't know where it's going to stop. It's going so I mean, it's got to peter out at some point, right? But Nintendo games traditionally have pretty good legs. So if it's going this fast now, I don't know, 30? Will it hit 30? 35? Will it finally We're not even at the holidays yet. So 22 million, that is absolutely positively crazy. It's gonna be number one. And then naturally, Pokemon Sword and Shield has also performed very, very well. It is now the third highest selling collection of Pokemon games. Number one is still Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green with 31 million. Pokemon Gold and Silver is 23, and Pokemon Sword of Shield is at 18. Again though, it's only been out it hasn't even been out for a full year, so that is going to continue to sell. I don't see it dethroning Red and Blue, but I could see it creeping up to Gold and Silver. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. And of course, other games have continued to sell very well and have been updated here. Smash is basically at 20 million. Breath of the Wild is at 18.6 million. Super Mario Odyssey, Wow! Breath of the Wild has outsold Super Mario Odyssey. I just realized that. That is really, really impressive. Zelda outselling Mario is not something that usually happens. Moving on from financial reports, but still in Animal Crossing related news, a while back, Nintendo introduced a new update which fixed some bugs, but they fixed a bug that everyone liked. It was the ability to kind of mess with the game in such a way that you could use like the photo mode and get rid of the UI so that you could take pictures without the UI in it. They fixed that, so people weren't able to do it anymore. They were upset, but that is because in the latest summer update, they brought in the ability to do it legit. There's just an option now. By just clicking the right stick, you can get rid of the UI yourself. So that's nice. That was something that people were grumbling about for a while, but apparently Nintendo had it covered. There was a reason they did it. So that's very good news. Also, Nintendo recently implemented the whole Dream Island thing in the summer update, and it seems that they're being a little bit aggressive about identifying hacked islands, like people who have any sort of hacked items and removing them from the Dream Island service, whatever you want to call it. And I do suppose that makes sense from their perspective. You know, people go into people's islands and being like, how do you have a star fragment tree? I want a star fragment tree. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that they've kind of doubled down on this itself. Like people like playing the game normally, they're less aggressive about it. But this whole Dream thing, if you want to see someone else's island or people to see your island, they don't like it if you've been messing with stuff. Moving on, obviously you know about the Lego Mario range of toys. Well, Nintendo Life recently did an exclusive interview with lead designer Jonathan Benink. It's a very good read. He goes into the whole entire just process leading up to it. Apparently this has been a project long time in coming, long time in development. But like the most kind of funny little takeaway from it is that he mentions Nintendo. Like they've always been really big on quality assurance. I've talked about it before, like with their handhelds and stuff. They do all these tests, like stress tests on them. Apparently each of the Mario figures in Lego Mario, they made sure to drop them 6,000 times. 6,000 times. Do they have like a robot for it? I'm not exactly sure, but that's Nintendo's thing apparently. If you can't drop it 6,000 times, we ain't selling it. So that was kind of funny. To get more information on it, though, I do suggest going and reading the whole Nintendo Life article. It's a good read. So sometime back, we learned that the grand opening of Super Nintendo World in Japan was going to be delayed. Naturally, the Olympics there are being delayed too. But apparently Universal Orlando, the one coming to America, the Super Nintendo World there has been delayed indefinitely. I think they were so much earlier in development there and in construction. It was originally scheduled to open in 2023, which is obviously still a ways away. So for them, they're just kind of like I think the one in Japan, they're still planning on opening in 2021. Or at least hoping to. This one, they're just kind of, indefinitely is the word. That it doesn't mean forever. It just means we have no idea when. Universal is having a hard time with their profits. Naturally, people aren't at their theme parks, losing a lot of money. So for them, they're just kind of like, we really don't know. Which is disappointing because the next news item, apparently, some stuff leaked online. I'm having a hard time finding the original sources, but somebody leaked the Super Nintendo World website, and this led to a little bit of video and some images of a Mario Kart ride, which is very exciting. It kind of moves through the park, and I don't know, you can see the pictures here. The website states, "You've never experienced fun like this before." That's so cool. Every time I talk about Super Nintendo World, I want to be there so bad. I want to be riding on a Mario Kart ride that takes me through the cart. That's so fun. That's amazing. Somehow I don't think all of these images are quite accurate representations. I don't think we'll be able to just throw CG turtle shells and have, ships up in the sky or whatever. But I am still very excited about the prospect of it. Whenever the park gets done in Orlando in 2020, who even knows at this point? So on Monday, Masahiro Sakurai celebrated his 50th birthday. Congratulations, Mr. Sakurai. That's a good, solid, round number. You've obviously accomplished a whole lot, and I hope that he had cake. I don't know. What else is doing on your birthday? Eat cake. So it's always very weird to me when a game has not been revealed yet, and yet someone files to get it rated in some country or another. It feels kind of like you couldn't just wait There's like the official Nintendo representative in charge of this isn't like, oh, you didn't get the memo, to just kind of wait. So oftentimes we get these ratings. I don't think they end up being true 100% of the time, but they very often do. In this case, people have spotted a Taiwanese rating, which suggests that we are getting No More Heroes, the original, on the Switch. Naturally, it would make a lot of sense. It would almost be more surprising if we didn't get No More Heroes on the Switch. We're getting No More Heroes 3. Why would you not release the others? Of course, I could say that about a lot of other series that aren't getting the originals, but are getting the sequels. Whatever, that's a whole discussion. I haven't played any of the games in this series, but it would certainly be a good idea. If you are putting money into making a third one, you might as well bring the first and or the second over to the Switch as well. So we will see if this ends up being true or not. GameXplain recently did an interview with the lead producers behind Wonderful 101. When asked about the idea of a sequel, producer Atsushi Inaba mentioned that they would really like to. They've never not considered doing a sequel, so that's nice. And then director Hideki Kamiya has mentioned that he likes the idea of a sequel. However, they already made Wonderful 101 so big, like he feels that they already set the bar so high that it would be like, I mean, what else do you do with a sequel? You make it bigger and you make it better. So he's almost like a little bit scared of the idea, and I thought that was a fun little piece of insight there. I'm still unclear on the sales and the overall success so far of the remaster, but I assume that if it does well enough, then maybe we will end up getting a sequel. It probably won't be a Nintendo exclusive, making this not technically Nintendo news, but I said it anyway. What are you gonna do about it? Huh? Yeah, I thought so. I'm a wild horse. Can't tame me. Oh, no, not you, Roberta. I said horse. I wasn't talking about you, not horse. I was talking about me. I'm not you go back to grazing. I don't need you today. I don't think I have any high horse stuff today. Now, in the same interview, GameXplain also asked Hideki Kamiya how Bayonetta 3 was coming along. It comes up here and there, just in interviews and social media, and as usual, when asked about it, he said, it's going fine. It's going. You know, a lot of people, it's been so long since it was announced that a lot of people are getting a little bit concerned, but then every time he comes out, he's like, no, we're still working on it. I really do think it's just an issue of, they announced it when they had barely started on it or hadn't even started on it yet. You know, it was like the end of 2017, or just hadn't worked on it for very long. I do think that's the issue here, so we shouldn't be too worried about it. He did, however, specifically mention the impact of the global pandemic on development, and he says he's not really sure yet. The quote says, how much that has impacted our work, I think honestly that's something we're going to have to see. It's just basically they're all working from home and just trying to work out how to do it, and it's not 100% clear how that is going to, in the long run, affect development. But we'll just have to wait and see. So we haven't really heard much officially about Pokemon Unite since it was announced, but apparently some screenshots have leaked online. They give a little bit of insight into the user interface and some of the Pokemon and some of the stuff that you can do. I can't read Japanese, and I also am not super duper in tune with Pokemon and what much of this means, but if you're a big Pokemon fan and you're looking forward to Pokemon Unite, then you can probably glean some stuff here. I see a Snorlax. So you can get a Snorlax. That's cool. So this one's cool. Nintendo kind of randomly announced and dropped Smash Ultimate version 8.1.0. This, of course, came with, numerous slight tweaks and fixes and stuff. It claims to affect the online a little bit. I know that they've kind of changed the requirements for getting into Elite Smash a little bit, but perhaps most interestingly, they added the small battlefield stage. It's like Battlefield, but it's small for people looking for a small kind of battlefield. So that's cool. I mean, it's just another one of those things where the game has been out for a year and a half, going on 2 years now, and people they're still just thinking of ways to make it better. How can we keep improving the game? How can we keep giving people features that they might appreciate? And I think that is an incredibly cool thing. I don't know if they're still doing this just because they still have the files open because they're working on the DLC or something like that. Maybe once the DLC characters are done, they won't, bring us any more big updates like this. But it's very cool that at least at the moment, it's been supported. Overall, it'll be supported for years, and that's very, very cool. That's how you keep, I don't know, I've talked about this, it's how you keep a multiplayer game alive, by giving it all of that attention and all of that effort. And what do you know? It's one of the highest selling Switch games because you put all of this love and all of this effort into it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, like, kind of as an aside, it's nice to see anything getting done. I mean, like obviously stuff is going on at Nintendo, but every once in a while you stop and think, like, are there like whole departments that are just like not there and not able to work together, and they're still having, like, we don't know the exact extent to this whole situation, how much it's affecting Nintendo. So it's nice to see something like this and other patches and other stuff for other games. There are people, there are people that are successfully working together and creating content for Nintendo's games. So I don't know, I guess it's just kind of nice to see that anything is happening because Nintendo's been very quiet and we just don't know what is going on all the time. So here's some disturbing stuff. People are starting to suspect that Skip, the developer of the Chibi Robo series, has gone under and is just closed down. It would be weird because when Alpha Dream went under, we all heard about it. You know, there's a big report on it and everything, but right now everybody's just kind of having to put the pieces together on this one. There are 3 major reasons people feel this way. The YouTube channel One Control Report shows off how the website is basically going defunct. Some links are broken and it seems that it hasn't been updated in a while, so that's a little bit weird. You get a 403 error when you try to go to certain spots. Then it seems that the company's office space in Tokyo is just not there anymore. You can go on Google Maps and see that the placard outside has been covered up and it's just a different business. It's a trading center now occupying the space. Also pretty disturbing. And then the CEO of the company has removed the company website from his Twitter bio. He's removed mention of the company from his profile, and nobody has seen any sort of official mention of Chibi Robo at all from Nintendo since Smash Ultimate, because it had the Chibi Robo spirit in it. So all 3 of those paint a pretty grim picture. I know there was the whole thing where Nintendo, where they made Ziplash, and they were like, oh, if you want us to make more Chibi Robo games, you gotta buy Ziplash, even though it's a weird spin-off that doesn't really fit with the rest of the series. And then there was the photo finder was also on the 3DS. That was like kind of the same, but kind of not the same. I'm not really sure. I haven't dug into these games. I haven't played them a whole bunch. But of course, that is frustrating that they refuse to make a simple, basic Chibi Robo game again, and then now the series is going defunct, and I feel very, very painfully bad for any legitimate Chibi Robo fans out there. I can only hope that, I don't know, it seems like the company's gone. It really does, but I don't know, maybe they moved and they just didn't tell anyone. Who knows, maybe Nintendo will end up giving the series to a different studio. It's kind of like with Mario and Luigi, it's very up in the air at the moment, but it's not as safe as Mario and Luigi because Mario and Luigi is obviously Mario and Luigi, whereas this is Chibi Robo. It doesn't have as much, seniority or whatever. So it's another thing we'll have to just sit back and cross our fingers on. So recently I reported on some game breaking and progress breaking bugs in Paper Mario Origami King. Some of them prevent people from being able to beat the game. Some of them just prevent people from being able to get 100% in the game. More issues have cropped up since I reported on those. However, Nintendo released an update that fixed what seems to be basically all of them. There's a big list of fixes here, and there are some that I had never even heard of, just little bugs. I mean, it's surprising that the game had that many bugs in the first place. However, it is very nice that Nintendo has done just what they should do, which is very, very proactively, aggressively squash these bugs and get things fixed. And it's nice to see in the list here that they're not just fixing the bugs, they're also making it so that people who encountered the bugs can now continue normally. They don't have to, their files aren't just messed up forever. Now they get their progress, they can move forward, so everything just kind of goes back to normal for them. So that's very good to see. So apparently back in 2017 at the CEDEC conference, Nintendo brought a very early build of Breath of the Wild, kind of like a little prototype build. And apparently early on in development, they recreated a lot of areas of Japan within the game and just let Link kind of run around these Japanese landmarks. And that's very cool. And some new screenshots have surfaced of this early build, which is pretty fun. You get to see Link with a slightly different kind of style about him, kind of running around in these traditional Japanese buildings. So it's a trip. I would love to get more info on this, more video. It'd be a lot of fun to just be able to play it ourselves, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But it is very interesting to see. It's just kind of a weird, kind of surreal thing to look at. Like, and apparently you were using the skydiving feature from Skyward Sword, which I think is really interesting. That makes me, I might have missed that. That might be public knowledge, but I forget if that was like at what point in development they decided to not use the skydiving feature. I mean, it's probably because they use the sail instead. You can float, you know, at will instead of just whenever you fall, you put out your arms and legs. It makes a lot more sense. But so it's just another interesting little beta tidbit to, or even alpha tidbit to see from this early build. Finally, I have one more piece of Animal Crossing related news, but I've saved it for last because this could be something of a spoiler because it involves a data mine for the game. So this could potentially be future updates for the game. So if you don't want to potentially know what'll happen later in development, then turn off the video now. This has been floating around for a while now. I think it just could be that people found more info that kind of supported the idea in the most recent update. So potential spoilers starting now. I love you. If you gotta go, I love you. See you later. Thanks for watching. But some of the code in the game refers to like vegetables, like farming elements. We see tomato, wheat, sugarcane, potato, carrot, etc. People have also found references to sewing and cooking. This is a pretty exciting idea. Many people have been quick to point out that we are approaching the fall update, and this kind of thing would be perfect in the fall, you know, harvesting and cooking and things like that. I'm a little torn on this idea. I feel like I love the idea of a farming element. I love Stardew Valley. I love that kind of thing. I love just the, you know, the idea of planting seeds and waiting and you know, doubling your profit or whatever, and just you know, investing into your farm and making more. It's like a money-making thing. It's just kind of fun. So I've always like kind of drooled at the idea of them putting that kind of thing into Animal Crossing. They already put a crafting thing into there, which definitely like hits the same I don't know, hits the same feel of kind of expanding the gameplay to be more like a traditional, you know, farming kind of sim. So I like the idea, but I also do wonder, like, what's it really gonna accomplish? I mean, there's so many ways to make money at this point. Do they need another way to make money? Would it be worth doing? Is it just for making money? If we're doing sewing and cooking, especially like cooking DIYs, I don't know, what's that gonna do? Like, what does that do for your character to eat certain dishes? I don't know, like maybe it's kind of like fruit. Maybe it like powers you up and makes you more strong or something. Maybe it could affect your stats in a bunch of different ways. That could be cool. That would be a really cool reason to farm. So you legitimately you're like, I need 3 more wheat and I gotta wait a couple days. And once I do, I'm gonna be able to make this recipe, which does something. I'm having a hard time imagining what they might do. So yeah, it's basically just like, if it's gonna happen, it can't just be arbitrarily kind of tacked into the game. It's gotta serve a pretty good purpose, because Animal Crossing itself, it's not a farming simulator. It's more of a life simulator. I like farming simulators. I like more gamey elements. That's what I liked about the early stages of playing Animal Crossing. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I'm hoping this is true. Everything else so far from data mines has been true, so I have no reason at all to not believe that this is true. But as always, until Nintendo officially announces it, we won't know for absolutely sure. We'll just be like 98.4% sure or something. I mean, it could be like a scrapped thing, something that was in the code because they were gonna do it and then they didn't, but I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. Well, that is that. That was a lot of news. How long was that? How long did that take? That was quite a while. A lot of news items this week. Again, yeah, sorry. I missed out on some stuff that released for the rest of the week, and this will be going out Monday or Tuesday or something. I'm hoping after this trip I'll be able to get more into a consistent schedule, but whatever, still doing one a week, still full of Nintendo news, so who actually really cares at all? Thank you for watching, I love you, and please have a wonderful day.